Welcome back to our LaTeX tutorial. In the previous lecture, we learned about labels and referencing, and in this lecture, I will show you how to add figures to a text. So I will start a new section in our document and call it including figures. And I will write here base command for including figures in LaTeX is include graphics. So this basically places a figure at this point, and so we have to tell, so the square bracket is for potential options. So for example, to tell it how large the figures should be, and in the curly bracket, we have to give it the name of the figure. And so what I would like to use is Einstein. What is important, it should not use the file extension of the file. So if it's Einstein.jpg, you should use just Einstein. Okay, and we can try to run this. And it will not work. And if we look at the log file, just to show you that not everything works and you might forget something, it might tell you here a cryptic error messages of include graphics, so this is somehow not known. And the reason why this doesn't work is because now for the first time we're using a command that is not in the base LaTeX commands, but that uses a package or an extension to LaTeX. And this package is the graphics package, which I would have to load. So this works. And so the packages are always included after the document class, but before the begin document. So here you can include packages, and the command to do this is use package, and the package that we want is graphics with now if we recompile, the command will work and the figure is here. So let's go again down here to the place where we wrote include graphics. So here is the figure, and I told you about the square bracket. So in the square bracket, we can add information. So for example, I can write width equals 6 centimeter. Compile. See that the figure is getting a little bit smaller. So per default, LaTeX, when you change the width, LaTeX will change the height accordingly so that the proportions of the image are constant. And this is usually what you want as well. The problem with figures is that they're usually relatively large. And so if you say to LaTeX, the figure is placed here, and I will continue with my text here. The problem is that you might have, you see, I continue with the text here, you might have a lot of empty space here. And this is usually not a good idea, and so now I would have to maybe make this figure smaller to place it here, or move my text from here that it fits. So usually it's not a good idea to include the figure directly, but what you would rather do is to include the figure in a figure environment, in a floating environment, and this is what we will do now, and I will show you what it does immediately. So, however, you should not do this. You should float your figures so that they can be placed automatically by LaTeX like this. So what you write is again begin and figure environment. And here, Overleaf is already quite smart because it gives us all the things that we typically want in a figure environment. Mostly people want figures to be centered. So this is just says centering. Then there is an include graphics command. We can just copy the Einstein thing here. Then we have the caption, the figure caption. So this is Einstein, a photo of Einstein in front of a blackboard. Okay, and then typically I also want a label, and here this follows the convention of starting figure labels with fig, and I will call this label here Einstein. This is a figure, and if I run this, you will see that the figure here is created, so an additional figure is created, and this figure will be placed automatically wherever LaTeX finds this appropriate. And now I have these two figures, and just to not make it too confusing, I will make a comment here. You shouldn't do this kind of stuff. And now this figure is floated here. But the important thing, LaTeX might also choose to place it somewhere else in the end. So it will place this figure around with a preference to have it close to where it's put in the text, but wherever it fits best to the text. So always use this figure environment for the figure. You can also include several figures in one environment. For example, like this. 3 centimeter, 3 centimeter. Right here, these are two photos of Einstein. And I have to give it another label, otherwise I will get an error. And you see it would look like this. So this might be useful if you want to display several figures. And if you want to do a box plot, it works exactly the same. Just have to change the name. Box plot. Again, don't use the file ending. All right, here, this is a box plot, and give it the label box plot. And if I do this, I'm done. I should make it a little bit larger. This is how it is. Yeah, if you start writing your first document and you haven't added a lot of text yet, often the figures are placed in weird locations or maybe even at the very end of the text. Just ignore this. Wait until you end writing your documents, and very likely LaTeX will place the figures in an appropriate place. But of course, you need enough text so that the figures can be placed nicely. If the figure is absolutely not placed where you want it, you can shift this a little bit around. For example, I could shift this up here, or you can also tell LaTeX about preferences that you have where this figure should be placed. So for example, regarding top or bottom of the page or something like this. But again, like everything we do here, for the moment, I would recommend to just let LaTeX choose itself and stay with the defaults until the very end. And if you're then still unhappy, you can change. Okay, this was the placing of the figures. And the next thing we will discuss in the next lecture is tables in the text.